Right, I think we're going. Tag friends. I haven't got any. Afternoon, happy Monday. Is it Monday? Yeah, bank holiday Monday. Not be going anywhere today. Blackpool's actually packed apparently because everybody's got to Blackpool. Anyway, we do charcoal and acrylic. This is just a charcoal one with acrylic glaze. Figure study, yeah. Quite quickly done. You can do them in live classes. But the one we're going to do today is similar to this technique over here, which is actually put some colour on first, dry it off, charcoal over the top, and then we'll glaze it again to soften all the charcoal. We're going to draw it as well, sorry. And then we rub out the light bits, and as you rub out the charcoal, you go back to the gesso underneath, but you also go back to the colour you've got underneath. So that's the idea behind this one, okay? Not done many of these, only done one, I think. But it's just another way of doing charcoal and acrylic technique. You can have a glaze with colour over the top, or you can put the colour on first. Or a combination of the two, okay? I've got my student with me today. Lynn.
Hello.
Hello, Lynn. And she's already started actually. So what I'm going to do, I've got some acrylic. So this is normal lining paper. People keep asking me what kind of paper it is. I just use lining paper. 1700 grade from Wicks. Okay? You can get anything over 14. You're okay. Don't get the recycled stuff. It's rubbish. We give it a coat of gesso. Acrylic gesso. So it's got a plastic film on it, eh? So anything I put on is not going to sink into the paper. So that's the main reason we do it. I think you can see my head on there. It's the main reason we do it, so it doesn't soak into the paper, stays on the surface, and they can remove it. You also make sure you don't put the colour on too thick, because if you put it on too thick, you won't be able to rub it out. Okay? So it's like a glaze. So that's what I'm going to do first. I've got some cadmium yellow, I've got some alizarin. You don't need loads of this. Just put it out. I'm using Galleria, okay? And then I've got some phthalo green, which is similar to this, because this is, let me just show you. I might not do it exactly the same. So it's yellow at the bottom, it's alizarin in the middle, and it's phthalo green, green at the top. Yeah? So we put all that on first. And as you rub out, you create these highlights. It's a nice effect. I do like doing these. I get bored with doing just painting. I like doing it different. So, got a little bit of green as well. And what you need to do, get clean water and make sure you put this lovely wash on. I'm going to add a little bit. So the red, I can put over this side. We get a nice warmth, but it's a nice clean wash, okay? It doesn't matter about the runs. And then here, I just add in a bit of green on this side. Okay, and you can turn it around if it's running too much. So you want the red and the yellow to kind of go in a different direction. Alright, and then we use a hairdryer to dry it off quite quickly. And it also stops it running. Alright. Stops it running. Nice blendy wash. Just be careful with electricity and water, as you know. Doing it that way. Got some nice thick paint there as well. Some lovely textures. I've got warmth going to cool. If you wanted to add any more colour, just like some yellow here over the top or in there, yeah, or even a bit of alizarin Yeah, especially where the darks are in the figure, especially her hair, okay, in that section, then you can do. And dry it. Don't keep scrubbing, because when you keep scrubbing, you're just going to blend all the colours together. Sorry, you can't hit me. And blend all the colours together and you just get a mucky brown, okay? You want to keep the colours. Very warm in here today. Lovely outside. If it's taking a while, just get rid of the excess moisture so you get a nice flat tone. When you put your gesso on, try and leave brush strokes, so when you start rubbing out, when you start rubbing out, the brush strokes of your gesso come through. Okay, it'll go a bit cockle, so don't worry about it. I think we're still in the right place. Just check with my camera. Yeah. Not a lot of dark tones in this. We're going to get nice flesh tone. When we use willow charcoal as well, you're going to get different tones. Some willow is a very, very kind of dark tone, and then it won't go on that well. It comes off too easy. You see, this is okay. Can you see? Because I put that on, I'm going to cover everything up. Cover all this colour. Just to give me the tonal values in the picture. Now, like I said, it needs to be bone dry. If it's not bone dry, the charcoal's going to stick to the dark bits, wet bits, and you won't get it off as easy. Right? So this is willow charcoal, not compressed, willow. Okay? Cover it all up. Blend it so you get a nice flat glaze, which is a nice grey tone, which is in the picture, it's in the figure, it's in the background. I don't have to kind of do the sheet at the back of it or whatever. This is from a life model website, so you can actually go online, find some images. You can pay as well, or you can do classes if you like. I can just get somebody to sit for you. Entirely up to you. Okay. I've just got a bit of very damp there, so stop be careful with that. It's very wet. Try and dry it off. Where the tape is, so it doesn't come off. So we need this tape to stick down. That'll stick. It's touch sensitive. Touch sensitive masking tape. So even though it gets wet, it will still stick. Okay. Oh, it should do. It's wet through it, but alright. We're going to dry it now. So get some stick of willow again. I've actually done it this way because I wanted the warm over here and I want it to go cool. It looks like it's a bit wet in these places, but it's stuck, but it doesn't matter that much. I'm using it as texture. So if we look at the figure, and this, we need to kind of, needs to keep it out so I can see it. like that, and then we need the head. So the head is right down here, left hand corner. It's taking up nearly half the picture. Okay, so we do a big circle, and if you measure the head on the picture, it's 1, 2 to the crease in her elbow, and then 2.5 really. So the figure itself from her head on the floor is 1, 2, 2.5. So we've got that shape, which is about here. All right, and then we do it the other way, roughly, getting that way. So it's 1 head, 2 head, and a bit. So from the back, you're gonna count. So it's 1 head, okay, 2 head. But a foot is going to be about there. So you've got enough space. That's the reason we do it. So you can get the person, the figure within this space without chopping her legs off or anything, or her feet. Okay? So if that's the dark tone, I'm just going to blend. That's the hair. I've got some nice actual textures there with the hairs kind of going off the picture. So this is where you can do a bit of planning. So our back is about here, okay? And again, we use the head for measuring. 1, 2, that's 1, 2. So that's going to be actually near to where the crease in her arm is. It's about there. If we look at the head and then say, right, the shoulder from that angle is about halfway. So it's like that space, her shoulder is here, and then it's connected up, can you see? So you're just connecting up the top of her arm to the shoulder joint, which is there. And then this goes in, and then that's kind of quite dark in there, because that's the, and I'm going to rub all this out, so it doesn't really matter. We can just block this in, and we can block, she's got, just see the shape of her face, so we can rub that bit out later. So what I want to get in first is the arm and her elbow, which is that. And this is the back of a hip. That's going to be a hip bone there. And then we get an angle for her arm, this arm, and the hand. So again, we just look at the shape of that arm, and we give her muscles. Yeah? So you got the hand, which is something like that. And then we get a knee. So the knee is quite big, okay, because it's quite, she's holding a knee, and it's a very big area inside that negative space. So the hand is actually just coming over her knee, like that. And then that's the wrist as well. We can block that in slightly, and the darts in here. I'm just looking at the total values as well, and doing them while I'm drawing. From a knee, you can see the top of the bra, and then the angle of the other arm, which is this. So you can measure it like that, and do that angle. Draw a line first, and that's where the wrist is on this hand, and the wrist on this arm is just next to it, and then you go in that way. And we can see the fingers. This is just kind of a curve away, but if you actually put the shape in first like that, without actually drawing a lot of fingers, and then you got the wrist bone, and that's coming to a crease in her elbow, which is there, and we've also got this negative space, which is here. And we can just see the front of her leg, but it's quite dark, that, so we can blend that in, which also blends into the side of her arm. And we can see the back of her hand there. Okay, we can get rid of charcoal very easily, and that's the reason we use willow. So from this end now, we've got that arm, which is hitting the face, which is like, this is a hair as well. And we've got this other knee. So if I take a line down from her hand like that, you can just see that this other knee is quite over here. It's past the leg, and it's also going to be joining to her hip on the other side, so we have to make sure you get the angle right. And we can't see that, so we can blend all that in. to where the knee is, that one. And then from this hand, there, so you get the shape. From this hand, you're getting the crease there, and then we're getting foreshortening, because that's the bottom of a foot, and that's the front of a knee there. Alright, so right next to this hand, we've got the heel, which is like that, and then the instep, and then the toes. And that should take you right up to this edge. So this is where you can fit your drawing within that space. We can look at a hip. I'm going to take a lot of this off. If you want to block in some of the darker bits around the figure, that's fine, because we're going to remove a lot of the lighter tones with the brush, with the rubber. So like I said, the shoulder is there, but then we can see the shoulder blades, which give you this angle like that. And also this is a dark negative space, like I said, so we can block that in. So the shape here is actually the shoulder, and then that's the hair going off. Okay, we can block that in because it's tactile stuff, yeah, so you don't press on as much, so you get a nicer, softer feel to the subject. Oh yeah, yes. Here I'm going to block that in. It's all dark there actually. I know it's the background as well. So just block it in quick, blend all that. Okay. Wipe your hand. Always have a damp cloth. And then we've got the hair. So the head, really big. Okay, in comparison. Here, just where a hip is going to be there, and that joins up. But the back again comes out. Then you get the shoulder blade. So there's no line there. It just actually changes tone slightly from the back of it. All right. You get a nice highlight where anything bony is. So where you get the darks on the top of the shoulder there, and you also get a light area, so we can use the rubber for that. Then it goes in and it's dark again here. So just darken it and then use the rubber. You can see a neck and you can see the front of the face just ever so slightly. You have to be very kind of careful. Sometimes you might be better not even putting the face in, but then you need to give her these muscles. Yeah? You need to give her muscles in arms and things like that. So you get this lovely dark eyes, and then that's the knee and the leg. So it's coming that way, but you can't actually see it. So we've got a nice dark area on the top of the knee, and then this is the floor, which is actually giving you a shadow. Yeah, blending it in like that. Alright, it's a bit complicated at the moment, and then the top of the toes and things like that, just a little bit darker. But that is the underpainting. Alright, and that's the back of a calf there, where you can just see that line as it disappears into a hand. So I've got a rubber, and I've also got tissue. The tissue will help to take off anything that's you've got thick charcoal. So right, I've just got a bit of tissue. I'm going to take out a lot of this, just blend it like the side of her arm and the front of her arm is a little bit lighter, but we can use, I'm going to use the rubber for that, and the front of her shoulder, and then we've got this knee, which is there, and you've got a shadow there, so we can use the tissue, and you can also use, you can see where the calf muscles kind of scrunched up there, and that's giving you a bigger area, but we can draw that in later. And then here, in the hip, got a lot of light there, like that. So that's kind of blending into the background. Keep that nice and soft. As you go across the back here, and then you get the other shoulder blade. Again, can never remember that now. It goes from my mind. And then you get some light on the front of the face and the hair. So this bit is helping me with the shape of a hair. You want to clean up You know, put the floor, lighten the floor, to get rid of any marks you don't want. We can use the rubber there a bit because it's quite a fiddly bit that. And then across the knee, this hand and this arm just catching some light, and then the fingers here, or the back of this hand, use the rubber for that, and then a bit of light on the back of her arm, which blends in. You can see the bony part on the wrist, and you can also see the light part on this part of the knee. Okay, and then the foot. This is just a flat shape. Okay, you get a line there. Let me put my charcoal. Got a line here. So from the foot, got the toes. Then it comes out, and then we're getting this line, and then we're getting a. So it's overlapping, and that's foreshortening that bit. Yeah, and you're getting the same thing at the back of the leg, like that, which is the heel. So your heels are quite square at the back, and then the instep, which is giving you that nice light. Okay, so that's a straight line here, near enough to the front of the knee, which is bony knees. Right, rubber next. Don't fix it, or else you won't be able to rub out the light bits. I'm just going to blend the light between the shoulder and the back. You've got a nice subtle change in tone. So when we use the rubber, we're actually looking for very strong areas of light. Yeah? So if I kind of look for elbow, like on that arm, you see, there's a lot of light catching it, and in the crease. And then at the back of her arm, we're getting a lot of light catching that, which blends in then to her back. So you can use the rubber light, you would, a pastel really. You can put a grass strap on and things like that if you want to keep her decent, yeah. Like that. Shape. The front of her arm, there's a lot of light catching the front, and then because it's curving with the muscle, you've got the dark bit in the middle, haven't you? So you've got this shape. Squint, take your glasses off. I've got the shape here as well, which is quite light in places. I've also got a crease there, which you haven't put in, so that's her elbow. And then I've got a crease here between the leg. Yeah. And then this light area, because the muscles are being squashed. Like that. Keep it simple, don't kind of put too much in at the moment. And then we can build up the tones. The back of her arm, like that. The top of the shoulder, this is where you get the bony part on your shoulder. And then you get this line, like that, softness. And then the back, there's a big area there, there's a lot of light. And then you get in the light on a shoulder blade. We've got a little bit of dark area, and then you start to see a neck with these creases. You can see, so the tendons in the neck, bit of a face. I've changed it to a light area now, and the alizarin area. Sorry. Here we can see where the bear is, so we can put that in. Just take the light off a little bit. It is quite dark in there. Here we can see where the light's catching the crease in her arm, and then this muscle, the light's catching the top of that muscle like that. So blend it with your finger, you see. This is why we use charcoal, because we can take it off and smudge it very easily. To give us the tones we're looking for. Then we look at her knee. We've got a nice light just coming out from the back of that knee there, and then we've also got the shadows between her arm and her leg, like that. So you've got the side of the calf muscle there. It's just like lots of these little shapes joined together, and if you get them in the right place, it should look like a figure. If you don't, then it's easy to adjust because you're just using charcoal. So where the knee is, you can see the bony parts. You can also see slightly darker areas on the top of the leg and things like that. But the main area of dark should be here on that flat bit of the knee, okay? So you're seeing that, and then you're also seeing the other side of the calf. It's just a little bit of light. And at the same time, this arm is catching a lot of light, which is going all the way down to the wrist again, and this hand's covering the back of this hand, so we can see where it's blending into the rest of the arm, like that. You're not getting any reflected lights, but we're going to darken that. Actually, I'm going to redo that with some compressed charcoal after as well. And then the back of the hand on this, so you got the what do you call them? Knuckles. Ben's not looking today. You got the knuckles, and then you got the back of the hand where that bony part is on the wrist, and then at the back of the hand that's quite light. So you just do these shapes, and you can see the bony part on that part of the wrist as well, and that's coming this way. Alright, so a little bit of time, and then on this leg we've got the light catching that knee. It goes bony there, because the knees are bony, and it goes bony at the front, like that, because they're bony. Yeah? And then we see where it overlaps there. It goes a little bit lighter, overlapping, and that's the calf muscle, which is about here, overlapping. Then we get into the back of her heel, the ball of the foot, the toe, and the foot catch quite a bit of light, and just take the light off. Okay, so we can use, sometimes, like I said, if you've got a lot of charcoal on, it's quite difficult to get the charcoal off, because you start just rubbing it about, you know what I mean? So you want to kind of remove it. We can try and keep subtle changes. Where we need something kind of darker, like this area, we've got a kind of shape here, which is the shoulder blade, and then we've got the shape there, which is quite dark, which goes into just below a neck. This area is quite dark, so we can block that in. And then here where we get the knee coming out, lovely light, lovely dark against that light, and then the shape of your knee giving you that bony bit, and that's coming out as well. So where we get the calf meeting the other leg, the thigh, sorry, you get a shape, the other leg, and then we get the shadow here, curving like that. So we can draw that in, and we also get a shadow at the front, there, just going for quite a way, and then we get to the hand, which is going off the bit.
Contrast?
This is willow.
Still willow.
Still willow. Don't use compass unless you're absolutely certain where you're going to leave things. There is a shadow from this arm going around the leg. Alright, and there is a dark going into the fold behind the calf muscle. There. You can actually see this, that is her other foot there, sorry, which is part of this leg. There's a foot there, okay? That's the front here, and this is the bit casting the shadow on the floor, and then we also get a lovely shadow here, brings out the knee. That's the dark bit, the bony bit of your knee. Alright, so yeah, don't have to do too much. Keep it simple. We're going to fix the laser and then start rubbing out with a cloth, because that will give us our lovely highlights, colours. Hair as well. I mean, you've got the hair. Use the rubber to give the light on this side of her hair. Can you see? So you get reflected light there. We've also got the hair. It's in the floor and it's catching the light. So you use the rubber, excuse me, just to put in the hair catching the floor, catching the light as it goes down in the front. Little thin, straight, thin areas at the front, bigger, lighter areas towards the back. So it's your interpretation. She's got a little bit at the front which is actually kind of reflected light as well, and then that's where the face is anyway. Okay, stand back. This is going to be a right subtle tone. I know it's green, but it doesn't matter. You can go back to the white of your paper and the front bit of the knee. So I'm not going to use any compress. I'm just going to fix her. Okay, give it a bang so all the dust comes off. So the colours are coming through. It's quite an abstract shape. It's quite light. It's really interesting. Actually, you could have turned it upside down, done it as well. That would give you a lovely kind of abstract shape. So it's worth trying doing upside down painting. Do I? So we got this. I'll just bring out the shape of that arm now because that's quite dark under there. Alright. Coffee again, charcoal, not COVID. And that's where this shadow's going to bend around a leg into that down. Anyway, I've got some fixative. I'm just going to start at the top, work my way all the way down. Make sure you get everything. You don't need to do it too much. Here's the point where people have really lots of problems with the fixative. I don't know why.
Where's your hairspray?
I've got hairspray as well, but I couldn't get any, so I just used fixative. Right? Use this up first, then I use my hairspray.
I thought it was too good at its job.
Some fixatives there, if you put too much on, sometimes it's waterproof, so it will just wash everything out. So you can dry that off again. I'm going to use a dryer. Just like that. I think I've just noticed that there's a lovely light on the floor, but because I put hairspray on, so I can't take it off, so it doesn't really matter. I just put that light in, which disappears. Brings out the front of the foot. And if you touch it, keep a clean finger, get your damp cloth, which should be like that, yeah, damp cloth, clean finger, wipe off excess charcoal, and then keep your finger clean and dry, and then just touch your picture, and if it doesn't come off a lot, too much, it should be okay to glaze. If it's still coming off, give it another fix. I'll just do this middle section. Usually it's where you've got a lot more dark. Alright. Dry it again. Always make sure your hairspray is dry. Or you fix it in. And then we're going to glaze it again. So you could actually glaze it with water, but I'm going to use some burnt sienna just to warm up. That'll warm up the green. It'll also warm up the yellows. So burnt sienna, lots of water. Okay. So we call it a glaze because you can see through it like that. But not loads of paint. So again, we've got the top. You can glaze the whole thing. You can glaze just bits of it. You tie it up to all the way down. And do it quick. You don't want to be blending all these tones together. Sometimes it's nice to just leave a hair so you get splatters and hair on the floor and whatever. If you want to get rid of some drips, it's probably a lot of light on that at the moment, yeah. So you're getting the light from the window, but when it dries, and don't do anything till it's dry. So I'm just blending away to get rid of some of these runs really in the figure. You don't want too many runs, you want it to be nice and subtle changes in tone. Alright, and dry it again. Air dry is important today. Alright. So, okay, I'm not going to spend yeah, that's good. A lot of time fiddling about with this today. Do it quite quick. So again, we use a damp cloth. I'm going to rub out the light bits. So with the damp cloth technique now, I can do subtle changes in tone. It's just like when you get a light area next to another area that's mid-tone value. This is why we put the tones on, or the cover the whole paper with charcoal, willow charcoal, just to give you the main tone value. Can you see where the light is there? It's like you've got a body part on the shoulder, which is going to be quite light, but then you can blend that in to the rest of the arm like that. Where you're getting muscles kind of scrunching together, compacting, then you're going to get like bulges where the muscles are, so you get this kind of bulge on the thigh. But keep that subtle because I don't really want it to be too light, because I want the figure to come forward, back of the arm like that. This is the cool area. This is why you can plan it so you can have warm areas and cool areas on your figure. So now I can use cloth. Just keep using little bits of it to make the highlights. Because you're on gesso, you will go back to the white gesso underneath, and it should actually stay white. It shouldn't come off, because as long as you've done it thick enough. The problems with things like that, if you don't put it on thick enough, or you don't let it dry, or you put it on too thick and it's not dry, all these different things. Yeah. So I'm going to rub out the light on the back now, and that warmth is. You can see the different tendons in the neck here and on the shoulder. You can see, and where you're getting that light on the back, things like that. And you can do them slowly. Just make sure you get them in the right place. Here, like for instance, the reflected lights against mid-tone values. You can just see like an eyebrow, and then the side of a face going down to a chin here, which is like that, which goes into the neck there. If you go too light, we can always glaze it again, and you can always put a bit more charcoal on. So here we've got you can just see one of the vertebrae there, like that. That goes into the back. Just try and keep little changes in tone. Yeah. You go into a hair where you've used the rubber, so you can use the cloth to do the same thing. Here that goes back, and that goes into the shoulder at the back. There's a little kind of area there which is a dimple in a shoulder blade, and what have you. Squint. Take your glasses off. Okay.
Get the tones.
Keep squinting.
Keep practicing with tones.
And so you're just using the cloth to get the same value that you did with it, but you can rub to the white because of this gesso. Calf muscle. there, let it disappear. Back of her arm, and just changing tone. Stand back. Every now and again, stand back. Which is hard if you're sitting down, but you get these creases in her elbow. But you also get this light at the top, and then from this you get a little bit of light on the forearm. Like that. Where the light is on her hair, which is this bit, big area there, which is catching sunlight, which is catching the light. It disappears. There's a bit there as well. Yeah, we can use the background. So we use the floor to give us some texture. So if we wet it, we can rub out better, you see. So we can give her head's going a bit darker than that. So we're going to use some more charcoal as well. That goes into where the leg is. The bony part of the knee. Like that. This part of the knee. Just like that. It's lighter at the front. You also get some kind of reflections in the shadows, because the shadows are not just dark shapes. Where the bulging muscle is lighter usually. Side of the knee, bony bits is lighter. And we can also use white pastel there after. You can do a bit of covering up if you make a mistake and go through the gesso, or if you rub out too much, you can always bring it back. So this is the leg. This is the other arm. Where you get in the wrist is going to be light because it's bony. And in the back of her hand here. So it's quite difficult doing detail with the cloth. You have to use your nail. So if we do the fingers like that, and then the knuckles, because your knuckles are lighter, so you need to get those light areas on the knuckles, you can see. And this is a little finger, because her arm, so that her thumb is actually here. That's the thumb catching the light. We could draw around that later. And this is a little finger, and then a bit on the back of her hand. So where you get the tendons as well. Like that. And then the bony bits on the wrist, kind of thing. Anyway, that's the idea. Let's keep rubbing away. Get a good workout. Onto the knee. The reflected light in the knee, because you're going to get some reflections here. Where you get the darks on that side, and then you get the reflections on the other side. We're going to add some compressed charcoal places. Down to the feet. Onto the leg, onto the foot, big toe, onto the foot, nice and light. You don't have to do all the toes, just make it a shape. People are that clever they can think, I know what that is, it's a foot with some toes at the ends. So you don't have to put them in, unless you want to do. Anyway, that's the shadow there, and then reflected light on this side. Side of her arm, careful there, and then this knee, you can bring that over a bit, make it bigger, see? And then I'm going to use some compressed charcoal for my darker bits. Right. So again, make sure it's dry. This is quite light at the moment. Where I've got the foot now, I can actually strengthen that dark with some compressed, like that, because this is giving me a kind of shadow, see, because the light is coming from above. And I also get the back of the heel and other foot. Actually catch the other foot there. If I do this thumb and then do the shape of the thumb as it comes down like that, and then the other fing is disappearing around the corner. So the front of the thumb is actually a little bit darker, which goes to the wrist. Right, and then where the calf and the other, just make that bigger actually, where the calf muscle and the thigh muscle meet, you got a nice dark edge. Let's concentrate here, the shadow around that thigh, and then front of the arm, and then the other arm, you see, just reinforcing those shapes which are quite dark against the arm. Use your finger to blend it. This is why we use compressed charcoal and charcoal, so we can use blending techniques. If you don't like using your finger, get a rolled up piece of paper called a tortillon. You can make your own. Just a line there, just blend it into that arm. Where you get something quite light, you usually get something quite dark next to it. Yeah. So, this is where you can bring it out and then blend it. And it's just these little shapes. I'm using the compressed charcoal to give me some of the stronger shapes. If I'm not big enough, I can rub out more. Keep standing back. These lovely colours, tones. So that's the front of them, and then you get this kind of shape to the knee, and then it goes around the corner, but it also gives you a shadow on the floor. Now, and a bit of a darker shadow on top of the knee and the leg. So here it disappears into that space between our arms and the leg, the other leg, sorry. I'm going to emphasise the dark bit on the brow, which leads you to a face, which leads you to a cheekbone, which leads you to the chin. It's all one kind of link. So this is the elbow. Yeah. This creates a lovely shadow. Like that. Goes around the leg and then blends into the rest of the leg. So it disappears. But you can, if you want, put a line in and then blend it. So we've got the shape. Back. Her hair, and her hair's quite dark here. But whatever you do, don't just block it in. What you want to create is this dark shape against this dark shape, which is the floor. When you put a line in, just blend it because it disappears then. We can carry on with this, which is because it's actually coming this way, like that. So might be better just not having it in, really, because it's blended round. It's actually connected this to a thigh, and then that's the front of a foot, a leg, which is going down to a foot. And you can just about see here the heel of the other foot, kind of. Right. Yeah.
Yes, you can actually, I thought.
You can just about see it. So out of those complicated areas, you start to make sense of what you're looking at. Yeah. Thank you, Len.
So, no problem. Anthony?
Okay. Dark shirt there. Light shirt. Back of the thigh, crease between there. And just the hair really, because this is very dark on the floor. But like I said, I don't want to just block the whole thing in. I want to keep some tone. We could have a few strands. Having a bad hair day. It's coming out. Where you've got this shape as well. Keep some of the lights. We're going to use a bit of pastel if you want to. White pastel, because you can glaze over, you can varnish white pastel. Soften that edge. Stand back. Just blend that a little bit. Go nice and subtle. And that is quite light. Okay. Time is it? Oh, budget time. Quality. So, just to help me a little bit, I've got some sienna again. A bit of water. I'm going to blend it over that. Now I haven't sprayed it or anything. I've just done it like that. We need it to dry. So that's kind of warmed up the green bit, and you've probably seen a lot of shiny water again. Soft brush again. Hook it back, bring it out, shake it all about. Compressed charcoal, white pastel, brass strap. Gonna get a lot there. Top of her arm. Start looking at these little areas. You can't varnish it, and that's what we'll saying later. The highlights on the muscles, which is the bits like the bony parts, you know, which is very helpful in the charcoal. Just put in these creases in. Into the face, you can see where some of her hair, you can actually see her ear there, but you don't put too much. Some of her hair coming out. Take a bit off the bra. There. It's a little bit lighter there because you're getting more light catching it. Yeah. And so is chest, a little bit there. See when it goes light, when it dries, I mean, it's a bit more difficult to remove. So re-wet it and get more light. Floor, we can create textures. Around the figure. Don't let it go into a foot. I'll leave that a little bit because that'll take off some of the lights, some of the charcoal. Yeah. Heel, front of the foot, side of the leg. You can just kind of rub that, you see, and get these little marks where the water's been. There. Soften areas, back of the head. This is where the light's casting a shadow. And then we can varnish it afterwards. So a cup of tea, a drink, I mean.
Have you got burnt?
Yeah, but probably won't get to the stage of varnishing this one. It's quite abstract. If you do use any compressed now, you have to fix it again. That's other hand. Blend that into there because it disappears. Like that. Shape behind the foot. Nice dark. Okay, and I'm going to go into her hair now. We've got a lot of shine there. And again, I'm just picking up little bits on top of her head. It's, some of them are not as strong as that. That's the face. This is the bra strap. The light on that knee. start looking at some of these other light on the calf and around the thigh. Side of that arm. We can actually draw a lovely strong light there. Blend it in. Where's the sun gone? Terrible. Back of this, the heel and the ankle. Big toe. Anything down there you want to keep soft. Don't have it too harsh. This is a hard white pastel. In case I haven't told anybody. And then the front of the leg again, little light there. You can't hear me now because Lynn's got the hairdryer. So carry on a bit. Right, and we got the knuckles. Hand. Back of the hand. Good.
No.
Done. The student that.
I want to
Making
get
a
back
noise.
to class.
Eh?
I want to get back in classes.
Bit more light there.
Oh, no.
And then off her hair.
Chips, beer,
What?
coffee,
Yeah.
grease.
Who's Greece? Well, apparently, I gotta say anything. Chewy's been
I know. I'm outside doing the following proper procedure.
now we can use compressed as well, so we can go back in. Willow, sorry. Not compressed, just to put the dark in. Just make it, lock it in. You can use paint as well if you wanna.
So can I ask you a question
Yes.
to everybody else as well? When you're rubbing back with a cloth,
Yeah.
what's the difference with the cloth and the rubber?
Nothing.
So
The rubber rubs the charcoal out, and the cloth rubs the paint and the charcoal out.
so you can get
So
lighter.
the rubber does the same thing, but it just gives you, the cloth will give you lighter tones because you're going back to the white gesso underneath that. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll emphasise that bit because that's a bit where there's a shadow on the floor, like that, which goes that way. Blend the shadows in. Front of a foot. Don't need to do the toes. Yeah. You play about with the backgrounds. We can have warmth here. So this is a bit of sienna again, just to warm up foreground. There you have it. How is it?
Nearly 2.
What? Here too. I have to get a little hand on this watch. People think I'm joking, but I lost my winder. Didn't I?
I'm doing what? Take it to that shop.
It's.
Sit down, Neil.
I think I've done it. I think I messed it up actually. I forgot. I thought it had just fell off, but then it goes inside. Anyway, I shouldn't be talking about that. So you can soften areas, glaze again, have more light on the floor. Floorboards. You want to take out some light here on the leg. You are going to get reflective lights here, aren't you? Even though it's in shadow. Keep that in the background. And that's about it, actually. Yeah, you fix it again and varnish it again. Varnish it, sorry, not again, just varnish it. Bit more light on the leg, the bony bits of the knees, just like that. Side, the front of the leg, at the elbow, and then we fix it. And shoulder. Nice subtle changes in tone here. And you can glaze it again if you want. Sometimes I like to just make it look like she's there's a sheet on the floor and she's just lying on the because you can easily just take the light off that, make it look like folded fabric. This is what we use when we do life drawing. We have a sheet of modelize on. And the back. fiddling.
Stop.
Stop fiddling. You can pick dust up as well off your picture just to soften areas. And just a bit of light there. So that's the idea of putting colour on first. And people think, well, what's the point? It's just another way of actually painting. Opaque paint. A nice softness in the background, away from the figure, so it goes away from you. Alright. What time is it? I'm going to leave that because I can use more paint, or I can glaze over it again. I might do something with the background here actually, but I'm just going to leave it to dry. So I'll take the tape off, just go out wet, and then we'll varnish it when I'm happy with it. You could varnish it and then start colouring it, because you can paint acrylics over water-based varnish, yeah, as long as it's water-based varnish, not dammer, which is oil-based. Right. God, it's roasted. Soon be winter. Right, thank you for watching. I'll probably do a bit more to it and then I'll put it on. Well, that's the idea with the colour underneath. Subtle colours. Subtle. Okay guys, thank you. Day are we? Monday. Wednesday, see you Wednesday. I don't know what I'm doing yet. Bye now.